Hello and welcome to Cal's Cinema Center. Today I will be doing something a little different. It is currently early July, so I thought that it would be a good idea to give what I think are the best movies of the year so far. I have 8 movies here for you, and since we're halfway through the year, I feel like it'd be a good time to highlight these. Some of these I have reviewed, some of these I haven't. I will try my best not to include spoilers. And I must say, it's been a good year so far. So I'm excited to discuss these movies with you guys. Anywho, let's begin. So starting off, we have 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta, starring Ralph Fiennes, Jack O'Connell, Alfie Williams, and some others. And I gotta say, I liked 28 Years Later, the original. I thought it was one of the more audacious blockbusters I've seen in the past 10 years, just in terms of its pure style and direction. Danny Boyle really directed the shit out of that movie. But I gotta say, it was a bit messy tonally, and so that audaciousness was a double-edged sword. Even though I did enjoy it at the end of the day, it was very divisive among fans and just regular audience members. But this one, I think, even though it loses some of that audaciousness here with the director switch, I think that allowed it to have more tonal consistency and more focus. This story is very much about Ralph Fiennes' character, Dr. Kelson, and Jack O'Connell's character, whose name Johnny, like Johnny Seville, or I believe it's Johnny. Hold on. Oh, no. Jimmy Seville. So anywho, basically Jack O'Connell's character runs a cult who has captured Alfie Williams, who was the lead character of the first movie. He takes a more of a back seat here, and Ralph Fiennes is currently trying to figure out what to do with this alpha and seeing if he can interact with him and all of that. And so this movie is really good. It is really emotional and really engaging mentally. I think it is the best movie that has really grappled with the side effects of the COVID pandemic. Even though it isn't directly about the COVID pandemic, it's about the rage virus, I know, but I feel like a lot of it is discussing the sort of loneliness and all the different effects that occur with pandemics and loneliness and isolation, like this cult of personality that the Jimmies have, and also just the loneliness that Ralph Fiennes' character has. I found it very effective. The last act is fantastic. A lot of the things in this movie have great implications for the next one. This is supposed to be a trilogy. This is the middle part. I am really excited for that next one because just a lot of what this movie sets up tells me that the next one's going to knock it out of the park, hopefully. And I really enjoyed this one. There's a lot of gnarly gore. It delivers more on the horror than that first one did as well. And overall, I think it was a nice step up. Not a complete step up because it lost some of the flair and style and sauce, but as a whole, very enjoyable movie. And I'd say it's an upgrade over the original 28 Years Later, and probably my favorite movie in this franchise in general. And next up, we have Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons, starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, Renata Reinsve, and Mark Duplass, and Lukita Maxwell, and a bunch of others. I have a video on this movie already, so you can check that out in the description below. I'll have a link for you. But I'll reiterate some of my points here. I think Kane Parsons' direction is brilliant. He is able to get you sucked into this atmosphere, this sort of lonely, empty landscape. And he's able to build that really well and create some true terror, and also kind of comment on the nature of human memory and how some people live in their own memory to sort of romanticize their suffering, and that distorts their own memory. I really like what this movie is trying to use the Backrooms to say thematically. I also think the performances from Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Reinsve are great. There are some script issues here, particularly with some of the characters not feeling super fleshed out, but this was a very good first attempt, and it's a great horror movie in my opinion. I think this one generally knocked it out of the park for a first feature. It definitely lived up to the hype for me. And next up, we have Blue Heron, directed by Sophie Romvari. And I gotta say, this is the movie on this list you probably have not heard of even if you're really big into movies. And I gotta say, this one, you should not miss it. Not at all. This is probably one of my favorites on this list. and it is a very emotionally powerful journey. It's definitely more artistic, but I enjoy my artistic small indie dramas, and I thought this was brilliant and really emotional. And it is this story just about memory and about really wanting to go back to a place that you can never go back to, truly, because events that you didn't know were going to happen have altered how you view the past forever. It is a very beautiful movie and a very brave movie for Sophie Romvari to come out and direct. It's very personal to my understanding. I really enjoyed the many different performances as well. They're mostly from actors that I do not know, and I thought they all knocked it out of the park. This whole thing, it's not even that long either. It's 90 minutes and it uses every minute incredibly well. I really enjoyed what this movie was doing. I get emotional just thinking about it a little bit. Also, great Canadian movie, I must say. As a Canadian, I gotta gloat about this movie because we don't have that much. Even though, spoiler alert, there's another Canadian movie on this list. All I gotta say is, I don't think you can see this one yet still. I have not heard about a streaming release for this yet. But once it does come out on streaming, or if it comes to a theater near you, you have to see this movie. If you love indie cinema, if you love movies like After Sun, if you love emotional storytelling, you're going to get a huge kick out of this, and you might be sobbing in your seats. Very effective, well done movie, and a great directorial debut from Sophie Romvari. Next up, we have The Drama, directed by Christopher Borgli, starring Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, and Alana Haim. This movie is so much fun. I really enjoyed this movie. I got a kick out of it. It's fun. It's thought-provoking. I can't really say much about what it's talking about because I got spoiled on the premise. I got spoiled on the big twist, which I'm going to tell you now. The big twist is not like a big third act thing. Like, the thing that they're hiding is the premise of the movie, essentially. And this whole thing sort of causes this wedding to go all out of whack and crazy, and Robert Pattinson gives a wonderful performance as this sort of out of board, sort of out of water British guy in this scenario. Zendaya is great in this. I personally haven't been too convinced by her before. I liked her in Challengers, but like besides that, I haven't seen her range that much, but here completely convinced me. I thought she was just terrific. This is my favorite performance of hers. Alana Haim, who has been in a few movies by Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza and One Battle After Another. One Battle After Another, she only has like a small cameo in. In this movie, she's terrific. She is just the most fucking hateable character imaginable. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you really grow to hate her in a good way. In a good way. And just this movie, it essentially pinches a nerve that is not supposed to be pinched. It's talking about something in a way that we are not supposed to be talking about. It is very provocative in that sense. And that lends to a lot of great comedy, but also a lot of thought-provoking pieces about why do we not talk about this? Why aren't we approaching this topic in any sort of way? And I thought it was very effective in that, and it is one of the best movie theater experiences I had all year so far, because just figuring out what this movie is going for, and also just seeing every single twist and turn and hearing every single thing that happens is just, truly a spectacular experience. I also would like to say that the cinematography and editing in this are very strong. The editing in particular is very flashy, and it's sort of blending a lot of different things together. And it's a real balance that this movie strikes tonally as a whole. So I must say, really got a kick out of this. This is a wonderful movie. This has some of the best performances of the year so far. If you're someone who is willing to go along, if you're someone who's willing to have your nerves pitched a little bit, who's willing to be a little uncomfortable, I think you are going to really like this. And next up, we have Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, directed by Matt Johnson, and also starring Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll. This was the other Canadian movie I was alluding to in my Blue Heron segment of this video. And this movie is probably my favorite movie of the year so far, and it is just a truly hilarious comedy. It is my favorite comedy of the past however long. And I've liked quite a few comedies. The Naked Gun from last year, for example. Bottoms I really enjoyed, Hundreds of Beavers, Joyride. But this movie is truly fantastic. It feels like a live action cartoon in a way, as these characters are pulling off these different schemes to trying to get into this club called the Rivoli so they could play. It is all very comedic. It feels very chaotic, but also very controlled in a really interesting way. They do this thing like in Borat where basically they're filming with real life crowds, with real life people that don't know that this is a movie, and you get some truly great comedy out of it. And I think the editing as well really holds this movie together in an interesting way. I still have no idea how the fuck they pulled a lot of this off. Like, there's a time travel component in this movie. I'm not going to go too into depth with that, where basically they're reusing old footage of themselves while also incorporating themselves with the new footage. And so you're seeing like the old versions of these people as well as the new versions at the same time, and it looks so seamless, especially for a movie that was this low budget. This whole thing also has a real heart to it that I think elevates it. I've seen this movie twice now, and on the second time, I kind of noticed that I was getting really attached to these characters and their oddball antics and their real friendship here as well. As this movie, I feel as though is really about friendship, which sounds a bit corny when I say it in the video, but I think it works really well for this movie. But it's just a complete laugh riot, and it is truly, truly, it goes in some really unexpected directions. And I feel like most people who like comedies have to see this at least once. Especially if you're a big movie guy and you haven't gone around to this, you need to check this out. This was truly terrific. Okay, so next up we have probably the big story of the year when it comes to the box office and all that, and that is Obsession, directed by Curry Barker, starring Michael Johnston, Indy Navarrete, and Cooper Tomlinson. This movie I have a video for if you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts on that. This movie instilled such a strong sense of dread from me when I was leaving the theater. It was unshakable for a while. It took me a little bit to sort of process what I had just seen, which I think makes for really effective horror. I think this is the most effective horror movie in terms of just the pure scare factor that I've seen in a hot minute. It's not outright like, scary, but it is creepy. And it will sneak up behind your back. It'll crawl up behind your back like a spider. And I think that's even more terrifying. Indy Navarrete is great. Michael Johnston is pretty good. Most of the performances are either good or great here. And I think it uses its premise really well to deliver something truly entertaining and wild and well-paced and frankly interesting. I think this movie has really been dissected in a lot of ways, discussing sort of young people's relationship culture and all of this and that, and the idea of the nice guy. I think it takes a very classic premise of be careful what you wish for, and also, you know, the young guy wanting to be with the very pretty girl, but being too nervous about it and having a big fear of rejection, and takes it to a very horrifying place and a very effective place. And so I gotta say, for Curry Barker, this is his first feature in theaters. It's not his first feature in general, to my understanding. He made something called Milk and Cereal. Haven't seen that yet, but this movie was terrific, and I think it is a wonderful, wonderful first feature. A lot of first features on this list, notably, which I really enjoy. Check this one out if you haven't. I love the fact that people are actually going to watch the indie movie for once, especially an indie movie this good. I wish it happened more often, and I'm very happy for this movie because it's great, and I'm very excited to watch it again because I had a fantastic time with it on the first go. Just stop your crying, it's a sign of the times. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not realize you guys were here. Whoops. Project Hail Mary, am I right? A movie directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who are known for the 21 Jump Street movies, as well as the Lego movie, and producing the recent Spider-Verse films. It also stars Ryan Gosling, James Ortiz, who is the guy who does the puppeteering and the voice for Rocky, and Sandra Hüller, among others. Sandra Hüller is great in Anatomy of a Fall, by the way, and she's great in this movie. Before I get to the rest of the movie, I'm actually going to glaze Sandra Hüller a bit. That karaoke scene where she sings that song, I've already recreated it at karaoke multiple times, I gotta say, but it is just so perfectly emotional. It is a brilliant scene, and while her character, I'd say, is underused, the scenes she does get are brilliant, and I think as really the only other character in this movie besides Ryan Gosling and Rocky, she really knocks it out of the park and centers a lot of it. Now, the rest of the movie, am I right? So Ryan Gosling, I think he has definitely leaned more into the goofy comedy side in more recent years with Barbie and The Fall Guy and now this. And I think he carries this movie really well. He is basically performing against a rock for most of it. And I think he does a great job at centering us in this character and in this world. It is a very entertaining movie for how long it is. The comedic writing is very strong, and you get very attached to both of these characters as well. With Ryan Gosling and Rocky, we get to see their similarities and their differences. They connect in a very brilliant way. It has a lot to say about friendship and how people who may think they're loners always have a secret match somewhere. They always have opportunities to find friendship, which, pretty cute, pretty inspiring. That the story itself is very high stakes, but it also feels very cozy in a way, which I enjoy. I gotta say that the main attraction here are the visual effects and the production design and the general cinematography and Daniel Pemberton's score, which is fucking great. I love that score. Probably my favorite score of the year so far. It has such a creative energy to it, particularly in like the scene where the ships are spinning, if you know what I'm talking about. That score is magnificent. Greg Fraser's cinematography as well is top notch. The colors in this movie, mwah, mwah, the colors are fucking fantastic. And as a whole, it's a visual feast. It's a true spectacle, big screen spectacle. And I think it works quite well. I gotta say, I think most people who have clicked on this video are like, oh yeah, Project Hail Mary is going to be on the list. And I'm sorry, I'm not any different today. I really liked Project Hail Mary. And then we have Send Help, which is not a command, don't send me help. But this is a movie directed by Sam Raimi, starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien for the most part. Rachel McAdams is basically this mistreated employee who gets trapped on an island with Dylan O'Brien's character, who is the new frat boy dickhead boss that doesn't care about anything, who probably got a business degree. And so it turns out that Rachel McAdams is not trapped on the island with him, he's trapped on the island with her. This looks like a horror movie. Sam Raimi is known for horror movies, but this movie is a fucking delight. It is so entertaining and it's actually really funny, surprisingly. It is just a complete thrill ride from start to finish. I didn't know what tactics this movie was going to pull throughout. I was truly delighted by what I was seeing. Rachel McAdams is great in this movie. She gives one of the best performances of the year, in my opinion. She really just goes for it in so many scenes. She understands the tone of this movie really well. And so she's able to give a dynamite performance because of it. I don't have too much to say about this movie, besides it's just fun seeing this sort of flipping of a usual character dynamic on its head. And it's fun to see these performers going at it against each other in this kind of way. And as a whole, it's very entertaining. It will leave you sort of breathless throughout in a way. It flew by. It completely flew by. I had a great time with this, and I don't think it really goes beyond like, hey, this is a ridiculously entertaining movie, but I think that's okay in this case because I think it's very well made. Sam Raimi's direction is very stylized here, and also just the performances are what you're here to see, and I think they're terrific. There's some issues like the VFX, but that's just a small thing here. The VFX look really cheap, but they don't take that much away from the movie, and I really liked how this ended up. I thought it was very clever and very fun, although a lot of it seemed a bit unbelievable at first. And I would like to rewatch this movie just because it's a fun time. I feel like it's a good get together with your friends and check it out kind of experience. So if you haven't seen this movie yet and you like these kinds of movies, if you like sort of campy, cheesy, almost funny horror, you're going to get a kick out of this. I'm telling you, you're going to get a real kick. Anywho, that's my list. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of this. And just because the first half of the year is over doesn't mean we're not seeing any more awesome movies. I tell you now that I actually think the second half of the year is often better than the first half of the year, and we have some exciting movies to look forward to, such as The Odyssey, Dune Part 3, Digger, lots of movies that I'm very excited to see. So I am hoping that the rest of the year lives up to the first half of the year, which I think was actually pretty strong for a beginning of a movie year. So, anywho, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. What are your favorite movies of the year so far? Were there any I missed? I definitely know there were. I really wanted to see stuff like Tuner or Leviticus, but I just did not have time. I'll see you next time.